We must learn to regard people less in the light of what they do or omit to do, and more in the light of what they suffer. Judging others makes us blind, whereas loving others is illuminating. By judging others, we blind ourselves to our own evil and to the grace which others are just entitled to as we are. Silence in the face of evil is itself evil. God will not hold us guiltless. Not to speak is to speak. Not to act is to act. Music will help dissolve your perplexities and purify your character and sensibilities. And in time of care and sorrow, will keep a fountain of joy alive in you. Jesus himself did not try to convert the two thieves on the cross. He waited until one of them turned to him. We are not to simply bandage the wounds of victims beneath the wheels of injustice. We are to drive a spoke into the wheel itself. The ultimate test of a moral society is the kind of world that it leaves to its children. When all is said and done, the life of faith is nothing if not an unending struggle of the spirit with every available weapon against the flesh. If you board the wrong train, it is no use running along the corridor in the other direction. We must be ready to allow ourselves to be interrupted by God. A God who let us prove his existence would be an idol. There is meaning in every journey that is unknown to the traveler. Action springs not from thought, but from a readiness for responsibility. We pray for the big things and forget to give thanks for the ordinary, small gifts. Discipleship is not an offer that man makes to Christ. In ordinary life, we hardly realize that we receive a great deal more than we give, and that is only with gratitude that life becomes rich. It is only because he became like us that we can become like him. Where God tears great gaps, we should not try to fill them with human words. Nothing that we despise in other men is inherently absent from ourselves. We must learn to regard people less in the light of what they do or don't do, and more in light of what they suffer. Time is the most valuable thing that we have because it is the most irrevocable. Christianity preaches the infinite worth of that which is seemingly worthless, and the infinite worthlessness of that which is seemingly so valued. I can no longer condemn or hate a brother for whom I pray, no matter how much trouble he causes me. We must be ready to allow ourselves to be interrupted by God. We must not assume that our schedule is our own to manage, but allow it to be arranged by God. It is not your love that sustains the marriage, but from now on, the marriage that sustains your love. The church is the church only when it exists for others, not dominating, but helping and serving. It must tell men of every calling what it means to live for Christ, to exist for others. Cheap grace is the deadly enemy of our church. We are fighting today for costly grace. Absolute seriousness is never without a dash of humor. The will of God, to which the law gives expression, is that men should defeat their enemies by loving them. God is not a God of the emotions, but the God of truth. Christianity without discipleship is always Christianity without Christ. How would you expect to find community while you intentionally withdraw from it at some point? The disobedient cannot believe, only the obedient believe. The test of the morality of a society is what it does for its children. The person who loves their dream of community will destroy community, but the person who loves those around them will create community. The only man who has the right to say that he is justified by grace alone is the man who has left all to follow Christ. We must be ready to allow ourselves to be interrupted by God. God will be constantly crossing our paths and canceling our plans by sending us people with claims and petitions. So many people come to church with a genuine desire to hear what we have to say, yet they are always going back home with the uncomfortable feeling that we are making it too difficult for them to come to Jesus. Being free means being free for the other, because the other has bound me to him. Only in relationship with the other am I free. If my sinfulness appears to me in any way smaller or less detestable in comparison with the sins of others, I am still not recognizing my sinfulness at all. Only he who believes is obedient, and only he who is obedient believes. The early morning belongs to the church of the risen Christ. At the break of light, it remembers the morning on which death and sin lay prostrate in defeat, and new life and salvation were given to mankind. The fact that we do not speak it but sing it only expresses the fact that our spoken words are inadequate to express what we want to say, that the burden of our song goes far beyond all human words. No sacrifice which a lover would make for his beloved is too great for us to make for our enemy. One act of obedience is worth 100 sermons. A prison cell in which one waits, hopes, and is completely dependent on the fact that the door of freedom has to be opened from the outside is not a bad picture of Advent. Who can really be faithful in great things if he has not learned to be faithful in the things of daily life? Grace at a low cost is in the last resort simply a new law which brings neither help nor freedom. Political action means taking on responsibility. This cannot happen without power. Power is to serve responsibility. Not everyone can wait. Neither the sated, nor the satisfied, nor those without respect can wait. The only ones who can wait are people who carry restlessness around with them. Sanctification means that the Christians have been judged already, and that they are being preserved until the coming of Christ and are ever advancing towards it. May God in His mercy lead us through these times, but above all, may He lead us to Himself. If you believe, take the first step, it leads to Jesus Christ. If you don't believe, take the first step all the same, for you are bidden to take it. Things do exist that are worth standing up for without compromise. To me, it seems that peace and social justice are such things as is Christ Himself. In the presence of a psychiatrist, I can only be a sick man. In the presence of a Christian brother, I can dare to be a sinner. Strict exercise of self-control is an essential feature of the Christian's life. Any honors that come our way are only stolen from Him to whom alone they really belong, the Lord who sent us. Your life as a Christian should make non-believers question their disbelief in God.